All right, what is going on, people? Tony Polanco here with my first impressions of Horizon Zero Dawn. All right, so I was blessed by Sony, got an early review copy of this. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to do a full review now that the embargo's lifted. I'm not trying to do a full review because I played for like 20 hours. That's not enough. This game, I barely like scratched the surface. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, you know what I'm gonna do for the Coalition? I'm gonna give you guys the impressions video with some choice gameplay clips, and I'll do the full review on Tuesday on launch day because, you know, again, I want to give you guys the full information about this hotness right here. You know, I do need to make a little bit of a disclaimer. The footage that you're seeing now is pre the Day Zero patch, as they're calling it. So it's not like as crazy as it could be. It still looks insane, right? But I just wanted you to know that beforehand. Like the footage you see now will not be like on the same level that you guys are gonna get on launch day. All right, so let's get into these impressions, man. All right, so first of all, I'm gonna get right into it. The graphics, right? You know, even though I'm not playing it with like the full super pack or whatever, and I am playing it on, you know, my 1080p television, the game looks insane, bruh. Like, this game is crazy. It's running on the Decima engine, right? The same one that Guerrilla Games used for Killzone Shadowfall. What's interesting about that engine is, like, it wasn't on anybody's radar up until Kojima started talking about it because he's going to be using it for Death Stranding, right? But I was saying, you know, Killzone Shadowfall looks hot since day one. Granted, the game wasn't good, you know, just being honest, but that, you know, graphically, it was crazy, right? So that same, I guess, fidelity or whatever is now on Horizon, and it looks insane. Like with Killzone, right? What I liked was the outdoor environments, the natural stuff. Now Horizon is basically an entire game of that, right? You know, you have your robots and all that other shit you got to deal with, but, you know, while you're not killing stuff, you're looking at everything that's around you: mountains, river streams, you know, fucking grass, all this nice stuff. You know, it's a really like gorgeous looking game. The lighting is really good. Like, you know, when it goes from like, you know, like day to night and then dawn, it's like, it's crazy. Like, there was a lot of moments where I just had to be like, okay, I gotta stop and look at this. Like, at first I was like, yeah, this game looks good, but, you know, nothing special about it. But obviously, once I kept playing it more and more, I'm like, yo, this is on some Uncharted 4 level. It may even be better looking than Uncharted 4, which is right now like probably the pinnacle for PlayStation 4 games. But this shit, a whole other level, man. Whole other level, you know? All right, for you who don't know, I'm going to give you just a quick little recap of the game's story. So basically, the game takes place 1,000 years in the future. Civilization as we know it is gone. It's just ruins and all that. So in its place, humans are still around, but they're kind of living in a stone age. They don't really have any high technology. The only high technology in the world are robots, which are trying to kill people. Now, apparently, according to the game story, I'm not going to give anything away, humans and robots more or less lived peacefully for, you know, the majority of, you know, the time that the game takes place in. But a recent event, which even I don't know yet, because again, I'm only a little bit into it, has caused all the robots to just, as soon as they see a human, they attack. Even if they're like, I guess, peaceful robots, they just all attack. So that's the setup for this game. You know, humans are just trying to survive in this really, really harsh environment. And then you play as the main character, Aloy, which is, I'm like, okay, that's got to be a play on words for alloy, right? Like metal, you know? So, but they call her Aloy. I thought it was Alloy the whole time. And, you know, she's pretty cool. She's like, I guess she's like, what's her face? I forgot her name now. I think Nariko from Heavenly Sword. Correct me if I'm wrong on that name, but she kind of reminds me of her because, you know, she's like a white chick with, you know, red hair and braids and stuff, you know, but she's pretty cool. You know, I enjoy her. You actually get to see her, like, you know, come up to be who she is in the game. I'm not going to give anything away, but like, okay, that's pretty cool. You know, we get to, like, you know, empathize with the character. That way you get to know him a little more, which is pretty cool, you know, and I like the diversity of different peoples. Like, I like how you could tell, like, a person's from a specific tribe from the markings on their face. I'm like, okay, that's from blah, blah, blah tribe. Pretty cool, you know. I do want to quickly bring up the facial animations. For the most part, they're good, but there are some points I'm like, the lip syncing ain't all there, man. What's up? You know, but for the most part, it's really well realized. And by the way, I got my PlayStation hat, obviously. But yeah, for the most part, the animation, you know, facial animation is really well realized. I enjoyed that. You know, it looked really good. I'm looking at this game, right? Because it's a giant open world game too. And we're like, why can't Bethesda make games that look this good? You know, I don't get it. It's like there's no excuse for like that company to have like these horrible looking games when you have other companies, you know, like CD Projekt with The Witcher 3, gorgeous looking games. You know, so I don't get that. But anyway, you know, besides that, yeah, since it is an open world, there's open world shit you got to do in it. You know, you got to do errands and side missions and collectibles, all that other stuff, right? But what I liked about this game was that, like, okay, there's main missions, obviously, and there's side missions, but they kind of seemed, like, equally substantial, right? Like, they didn't seem like one is better than the other, or, like, you're like, oh, my God, this is clearly a bullshit filler side mission. Like, the side missions in this game are... You know, they're good. They're substantial. They're not just, you know, throwaway. So I enjoyed that. And even with the side missions, there's always something new to see, which I enjoy. You know, I want to quickly talk about mods and crafting because this game has it. The game is interesting because it's being built as an RPG, right? I guess it's an RPG because, you know, you level up, you get more skill points, you got to distribute them how you want and stuff. And you got to mod and craft stuff. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not really the biggest fan of modding in games. I'm like, you know me, man. You know, I like action. You know, just get me in there and just let me kill shit. You know, but not like Dynasty Warriors. But you know, I don't really need all that complicated stuff. But in this game, thankfully, it's not too complicated. You just, you know, hold a button and it crafts everything for you, provided you have all the right equipment and you know what do they call them? You know, provided you have the materials for them, right? That's cool. You know, but, you know, I didn't really need it because there, you know, even as I'm walking around, I'm like, oh, okay, I got to pick up specific items here to make this and that and the other thing. I know some guys like it, but for me, I'm like, I kind of could have done without that, but the game does it in a decent way, so I can't give it too much shit, you know, but it's just interesting how, like, there's RPG mechanics in every single game, but RPGs themselves aren't big for some reason. Very, very strange. All right, let's talk about combat real quick. Now, I actually got a little bit of a taste of combat when I played the game at PlayStation Experience back in December, right? And what I liked about it was, like, it felt like a modern action game. You know, you hold L2, you know, to aim, you R2 to shoot, right? Dodging a circle, like you would expect, right? But there's a little bit more to it than that. Even though the game is mostly just you shooting arrows and stuff, there's still other things in there, like, you know, bombs that have elemental effects like electricity, fire, and shock, you know, and they're all... I just said electricity and shock. Electricity, fire, and ice. There you go. You know, the elements and stuff. So those are really good. But for the most part, you have to, like, use arrows because... Normal arrows, too, because there's fire arrows. I'm going to get to those in a bit. You got to use fire arrows because if you shoot specific spots on robots, it'll, like, weaken them. So you got to, like, be really precise with it. Fire arrows aren't too... They're effective for some enemies, but not all enemies. So you got to be aware of that. I'm going to tell you a little funny story because half the time I was actually playing the game kind of wrong. I was like, as soon as I got fire arrows, I'm like, I'm just going to use fire arrows for everything now. No, I needed to use regular arrows, you know, and it made the game a little bit easier with that. But at the same time, the game is actually pretty tough. Like, if you go into an area that's like, you know, above your level, it's going to be tough. Like, you could do it, maybe squeak by, but it's tough, bro. You know, so you gotta be mindful of that. If you go to an area and there's like, hey, this is level 20 and it's in red, don't go in that shit. You're gonna get fucked up. You know, but yeah, I enjoyed that. And going back to fire arrows, you know, you gotta, like, they're really good against human enemies, obviously, and animals. Yes, there are animals in the game, but, you know, the game hasn't said this yet, but this is just my theory. They're not bigger than, like, a boar because there's giant robots everywhere. You probably can't have, like, massive animals like elephants and stuff anymore. Maybe I'll run into an elephant. Maybe I'll run into a tiger. I don't know. But, like, the gianter animals, yes, I said gianter animals, they're not around, you know, and they're easy to kill. You shoot them with a fire arrow, you're done. You know, grab your meat. You don't eat meat in the game, but you do need resources from animals just to, like, trade for, like, better clothing and all this other stuff, you know. Also, I want to talk about the human civilization too, because there's some scattered outposts and you can use them to trade and find other stuff and, you know, open up other missions. That's really good. You get to talk to more people, find out more about the world. And there's even, and I'm not going to get into this because it's bordering on spoiler, but there are specific dungeons that aren't natural. You know, I'm not saying supernatural. They're just built. You know, I think you guys know what I'm getting at. You know, it's manufactured dungeons, right, that aren't natural and you get to explore, that are, like, completely different from the rest of the game. And I really enjoy this. I hope the game, I explored one of them, and I hope the game has a few more, because I'm like, okay, this is really cool, you know. And I can't say this though. If when you unlock these or when you finish them, it actually opens up like, you know, like the ability to hack more of the robots. I'm pretty sure you've seen that in some of the trailers too, so which is pretty cool. Oh yes, hacking a robot and then riding it around as your horse, pretty sweet. All right, so that's pretty much gonna do it for this video. Again, I've only put in 20 hours, but even though 20 hours does sound like a lot, it only feels like I'm just scratching the surface of the game. Like there's just so much in here. But I'm gonna tell you this right now, and this is not fanboyism. Don't, you know, ignore the Sony hat. You know, this is just me being honest, right? This is Sony's. This is the PS4's. This is the PS4 Pro's new system seller. This is the real deal. All that hype you guys been hearing about, it's all true. It's all true. Don't get me wrong. The game isn't perfect, right? There are some graphical hitches I've known about. You know, I've noticed. I'm like, that's a little weird, you know, and I wish, and I'm going to be honest, I wish the game had a lock on when you're fighting enemies, because sometimes they circle around you when you try to do melee. It's a little bit tough to, you know, get a beat on them. So, but other than that, the game is just brilliant, man. Like, Sony has done it once again. I'm just saying this right now, Sony, man, you really need to be more conscious of people's wallets, right? You already dropped Yakuza 0, Gravity Rush, Neo, and now this, like, bruh. Too many games, but that's a good problem to have, you know. So thank you, Sony, for, you know, for Horizon Zero Dawn. Hot game. Go pick this up, please. All right. Oh, by the way, since I have you here, just a quick little note for you guys who may have been wondering, hey, what the hell happened to Tony's Take? In case you guys wanted to know where that's happening, you know, they're on, you know, the Throwdown channel. But you can still obviously go to coalition.com and see Tony's Takes every single time I upload them. And they're also on the Coalition's Daily Motion. So, you know, make sure to check those out. I don't know if I'm going to do one on Horizon Zero Dawn. I think this is it, basically, you know. But also make sure to, you know, look out for my review that's coming on launch day. And also my written impressions that I'm going to post over at geek.com. Links for everything are going to be down there in the description below. So that is pretty much it for me. Go buy Horizon Zero Dawn when it comes out. Hot game. I was Tony, and I'll see you next time. Later.
The Coalition.